If we take a look at the US charts in 1983, we find that Michael Jackson's Thriller was the best performing album, followed by Synchronicity by The Police. And other albums that peaked at number 1 notably include Metal Health by Quiet Riot, the first ever heavy metal album to top the charts. 1983, however, was the year in which an album was released that single-handedly brought blues back on the scene. We are talking about Texas Flood by Stevie Ray Vaughan and Double Trouble. The album that introduced the band, and especially its leader, Stevie Ray Vaughan, to the masses. This album is a milestone for modern blues and one of my all-time favorites. Something that everyone who loves music should take a listen to. Hi all, this is Luca speaking on Music Fingerprints, and this is an episode of the album series. The series will tell you what I think about new albums that I listen to, or the great albums that I love, why I love them, and why they made history in my opinion. And my goal is having more and more people to know and listen to them by sharing what's inspiring. As usual, if you find the video interesting, please consider subscribing to the channel, liking this video, tell me what you think in the comments, and then switch on the notification bell. 1983 seems like another era. 40 years have passed, and the music scene at the time was mostly centered on pop and disco. But 1983 is also the year of the revolution, or revolutions if you want. On the one side we have Def Leppard, who released Pyromania, that went on to influence the whole 80s and is now 10 times platinum in the US alone. In November, Quiet Riot's Metal Health was the first metal album to peak the charts. And these two albums were probably the sparks that ignited the metal scene of the following years, known as the glam metal, hair metal 80s trend. But there was another revolution taking place. A Texan blues artist and his group released in fact an album that put blues on the map again. The album was Texas Flood, the artist was Stevie Ray Vaughan and his band Double Trouble. This three-piece band was known in the Lone Star State as one of the most incendiary acts, and they were starting to gain traction. And what was special in Double Trouble? Well, they were a force of nature during live shows. The rhythm section was rock solid, with Chris Layton on drums and Tommy Shannon on bass. And Tommy had played with Johnny Winter on the Progressive Blues Experiment and then on his first two solo albums. And then you had Stevie Ray Vaughan on guitar and vocals. He was something special. He had the chops of a blues master, a deep blues voice full of soul, and he was able to channel his emotion through his 6 strings. His intensity while playing was unheard of. You couldn't but be captured by their performance, and every show was almost flawless. They have worked non-stop for years, and word started to spread around. And remember, the internet was far in the future, and also MTV was born just a couple of years before, so everything was about word of mouth. And with Double Trouble there was a lot to talk about. By 1982 they had captured the attention of many people in the music business, including Mick Jagger. The band was booked to play at the 1982 Montreux Jazz Festival, and they played after more quiet and acoustic blues acts. So what people found on stage was a little different from what they expected. Loud amps, a cowboy hat, and raw power. There were some boos from the crowd that are always remembered when talking about this event, but that was a minority of the people. The audience appreciated. And in the audience we had no other than David Bowie. He wanted to meet the band backstage and soon after contacted Stevie to play on the Let's Dance record that was released in 1983. Montreux opened another door. Jackson Browne was in the audience the second night when Double Trouble played at the Casino Lounge. And Browne jammed with the band till sunrise. And he then offered free use of his recording studio in Los Angeles. So later the band moved to LA, and at the end of November 1982 they spent something like 2.5 days in that studio to record a sort of demo, and the recording is what then became the album Texas Flood. Texas Flood captures the live magic of Double Trouble in its 8 tracks. As I said, it was recorded in a couple of days with no overdubs, mostly first takes. The songs had been played live so many times, it was basically like playing another show. It's a sort of live album. The sound is so full, and Stevie's playing both rhythm and solo fills the space, while his voice is great as well. To some extent, it was reminiscent of Jimi Hendrix, in my opinion. Chris Layton explains that it was the anti-record, if you want. In fact, they didn't test the sounds, they didn't test the drums, the amps, they didn't try many different settings or different guitar amps as you'd normally do. Stevie used his number 1 Strat straight into a Dumble amplifier that was in the studio, and basically that was it. They played standing few feet from one another, and it was 100% live performance, and that's the magic about it. Texas Flood is a gem. It includes both originals and covers, one being the title track. The album topped at number 38 on the Billboard 200 and went gold. And what's more, it opened people's eyes and ears to a music genre that was considered dead, bringing it into the future with rock-solid roots. If we talk about the songs, the first song in the track list is an original, Love Struck Baby, and it's a great way to kick off the album with its blues rock feel. The song has a medium fast tempo, and the solo is reminiscent of the styles of Chuck Berry and T-Bone Walker. The song introduces us to the Double Trouble sound. I would define it essential and full. While the second song of the album, Pride and Joy, is also the first single extracted from the album, we find a clear view on Stevie Ray's ability to fill the space. The song is a Texas blues shuffle, where we can hear the big Stevie Ray sound, and it also showcases his guitar mastery. He blends walking bass lines, chords, fills, and soloing with a number of embellishments that make us forget we are hearing a trio. Pride and Joy is a staple and has become one of his best-known songs. The third song is the title track, a cover of the original Larry Davis song, though enriched with Stevie's guitar soloing. It is a slow blues and a showcase of both his guitar skills and sensibility on the instrument, including the depth of his voice. This is one of my longtime favorites, and the live versions are even greater. If you want, check out the Live at the El Mocambo version and tell me you're not captured by Stevie's playing and singing. It's also interesting how Stevie Ray was associated to the song Texas Flood, and it was a cover, the same thing as Jimi Hendrix with Hey Joe. But anyway, the album continues with another cover, Tell Me, that is a homage to Howlin' Wolf, and Testify, that is an uptempo song that takes inspiration from the soul song originally recorded by the Isley Brothers with a young Jimi Hendrix on guitar. I say that he took inspiration from this song because actually it's not exactly a cover. Stevie Ray created something new, using the original as a canvas and then painting the song with his own colors, guitar only, without vocals. The B-side of the album starts with Rude Mood, an ultra-fast shuffle blues instrumental that is not virtuosity per se. The rhythm is catchy and you're carried through the different sections of the song like on a roller coaster. And if you happen to hear or see the live version from the 1982 Montreux Jazz Festival, you will appreciate the performance, his precision, and also how the song molds into Hideaway, the classic Freddie King instrumental. The B-side continues with Mary Had a Little Lamb, Dirty Pool and I'm Crying. And the first one is a buddy guy song that embeds his tongue-in-cheek attitude, and the second one is a slow minor blues that, let's say, in my opinion, is not epic. I personally prefer Timpanelli from the following album, Couldn't Stand the Weather, but it's peculiar in its own way. The latter is a blues shuffle clone to Pride and Joy, and they're sort of two parts for the same story. Stevie wrote Pride and Joy after beginning a relationship with a girl, and when they got into a fight, he came up with I'm Crying. Lenny is the last song of the album, an instrumental ballad dedicated to Stevie's wife at the time. The song is reminiscent of Jimi Hendrix, and it is a departure from pure blues into more jazz-oriented melodies. This is a delicate, sweet song that confirms how Stevie was able to speak with his own guitar. Again, a single guitar with no overdubs, and still nothing seems missing or out of place. My general opinion is that charts and rankings are often pointless. But it's evident that some records deserve to be recognized as masterpieces, and I personally rank Texas Flood among the top ever. Even if it's 40 years old, I think everyone who loves music should take a listen to it. It presents you a kind of music that is direct, full, that has a meaning and a soul, and it's not overcomplicated, overproduced, or overpacked with sounds and effects. So for those of you who have never listened to it, go check it out immediately. It speaks right to your heart, like only Stevie was able to do. And I hope you enjoyed this video and found it interesting, and if so, remember to give a like to it, consider subscribing to the channel for more content like this. And this is Luca on Music Fingerprints, thanking you and hoping to see you again soon for the next video.